So, stop me if you've heard this one before. There's this guy, our hero, your typical handsome, straight, white guy who's kind of the best around at what he does. But he's smug, arrogant, and kind of determined not to reach his full potential in life. He's played by an actor most associated with a different famous literary character everyone loves, and he was at one point the sexiest man alive. Now, this guy can be really funny and entertaining, but only when the writing for him is good. And to be fair, it's not awful here, but the writing for his character is definitely better than the other superhero movies he's in. He also works with his ex, who is played by an actress well known for being blonde, but here she must have dyed her hair or something. They seem to have broken up badly at some point, probably because of his ego, yet are still fairly amicable with one another, and she's definitely still down whenever he is emotionally ready. It's really about him.
It's all for you!
Also, there's this other guy at work who doesn't like him because he's smarter than this random dude. And of course, this random dude is constantly green with envy. You know, practically glowing, but he just kind of disappears halfway through the movie, so who cares? So this smug, handsome hero of ours gets into an accident in the vehicle that he's driving and loses his job because of it. And he is just a mess about it.
I'm upset!
Meanwhile, off somewhere else, not really defined where, there's this big evil being who wants to wipe out Earth and the universe, and he is awakened by these three dumbasses who just sort of wander from place to place and eventually get absorbed into being part of this evil entity. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Meanwhile, there's this old and powerful person who we're told is the only one that has stopped this evil before. You could say they're almost surgical with these ancient powers. But they try and fail this time, eventually leading to their death, but not right away. They have to explain all the stuff to our hero first. In his search for purpose, the white guy, our hero, comes across an ancient society of guardians of the universe, and he is shocked to discover them, asking questions like, "What's up, Doc? This is so strange." Somebody better enlighten this guy. He's pretty green on this subject. They wield a power unmatched in their universe, manipulating energy.
We harness energy.
It's the energy that's generated from the central battery. Even your suit is comprised entirely of energy.
Try this instead. Take one 5-hour energy, then see what the rest of your day feels like.
They fight bad guys and save the world, but never actually punch anybody. They typically keep their distance in a fight so as not to get hurt. Man, these Guardians sure are strange. Aren't they, Doc? They have their own secret hideout, one where people can't find them even if they're looking, and there's like a bunch of them, but you only ever really see like 5 guys doing stuff for some reason. Most of the time, they need to wear these rings in order to use their powers. And the rings play a major part in our guy's search for value. Like there's a whole action scene later on dedicated around who's got their rings, and our main character's like, these rings are dope, and they make stuff light up. Kind of like a lantern. Now, initially, the Guardians say, "You suck, we won't train you." But then 5 seconds later, they're like, "Nah, we were kidding, we're gonna train you." He's trained for like a week. He learns he can create a lot of stuff just with the power of his mind and the right movement of his hands.
Yeah, magic fingers.
Everyone sees him as weak, especially this one stoic, stubborn, hardened Guardian who wears green, who has always followed the leader of this society more passionately than anyone. But you know he's gonna be evil in the next one, cause, I mean, just listen to his name.
Sinestro.
Oh no.
Dr. Evil.
There's also this bigger guy who shows our hero some moves and totally takes credit for training our hero when really all he does is give him some weirdly specific tips that come into play in the finale.
The bigger you are, the quicker you burn.
You want to get stuck reliving the same moment over and over forever?
Is that going to be on the test?
Meanwhile, there's this secondary villain with a weird looking face who's basically just the bigger villain's bitch who's trying to get power for himself by attacking everything our hero loves. Our hero starts using this ancient weapon that glows green, thinking he doesn't need anybody to train him and can just use it because he's, better than everyone. Man, look at the way that thing glows. It's so green. It's almost like a lantern. But he messes up and has to fight the secondary villain while still learning to master his powers. Someone ends up getting killed, and the hero feels like really bad about it. So he's like, I should just give up. I suck. But he gets a pep talk from his not-girlfriend coworker who basically says if you save the world, we should bang again, and he leaves. She gets freaked out by his powers at first, and she's all like, "What's up, Doc? They're strange." But she definitely thinks it's hot right after.
I'm a hot little potato right now.
So the bad guys kill a bunch of the Guardians, because when they're by themselves, I guess they're a lot more formidable than when there's a whole team of them. Even the main mentor who has stopped the bad guy in the past dies, but our main hero who basically knows nothing and is constantly making mistakes ends up fine.
This is bullshit.
Oh, and the stubborn Guardian becomes somewhat disillusioned by everything that happened, with the head person not revealing that they're kind of shady as shit. But how could that be? Usually when a character puts blind faith in someone, they're never disappointed.
I will do whatever you
Us.
But he still agrees, yeah, we should totally stop the bad guys. But all he really does is stand there while our main hero does all the heavy lifting, even though he's been doing this for like probably 30 years or so, and our hero got these powers a week ago. Also, this other nerdier guardian who probably likes books and shit is there too, but he really doesn't do anything. So in the final fight with the secondary bad guy, the main hero realizes he's totally gonna lose unless he just confronts the main bad guy himself. Even though he has learned very little and knows he can't even come close to matching up to this villain, he still thinks he's definitely clever enough to outsmart it. After all, he outsmarted something else in the beginning of the movie. Call back to earlier in the film. That shows he's clever, so he'll be fine. Technically, it's just one bad guy, right?
This counts as one.
Oh, the main bad guy looks like this giant glowing blob in space with like a really deep voice, by the way. So deep that it makes me jealous. Look at me, I'm turning green. Lantern. So he flies off into space to confront the main villain and is finally able to put his ego aside in order to do what's best for the universe, ending the circle of his character development.
I'm proud of us.
So he uses the green glowing weapon to outsmart and defeat the bad guy using something he learned from an innocuous comment made by one of his mentors earlier in the film.
The bigger you are, the faster you burn. I could lose. Again. And again. And again. And again forever.
Something very familiar about all this.
He defeats the big bad guy, who ends up sucking up and absorbing the secondary bad guys just to, not leave any loose ends for the plot. Everyone praises his work except the stubborn mentor, who is like super jelly that he's not the one who saved the day and is totally on the road to turning evil now. So, as it turns out, what everyone thought was his greatest weakness actually makes him better at this than anyone. He's a white guy.
Yeah, white guy. We deserve it. Cheer once in a while.
And every member of the Guardians praises the fact that he's a white guy, and that makes him one of the greatest of all of them. Of all time, really. Because he's the white guy. Even though he admits he still has a lot to learn, he vows to be the best, even though, we all know that he's probably already the best one around because he's the hero. At the end, there's also this tease involving Taika Waititi and an after-credit scene where the clearly evil good guy shows how clearly evil he truly is, and he decides to ditch the green for something a little less glowy, a visual signal to us dumb audience members that the evil has finally taken over, setting up a sequel that definitely could still happen.
I thought that if we had gone down this path of Green Lantern, I would have had to have Ryan as the additional Lantern.
The movie deals with themes of inadequacy, finding your purpose, and opening your mind to things you may not have previously thought possible. Our hero doesn't always succeed at first, but given time to learn and grow, he can be great, humbling our main hero in the process. Let your past live in the past. Don't get hung up on who you were. Focus on who you can be.
Be yourself. Be yourself.
Now, does any of that sound familiar?
He's trying to copy you.
Enough!
And people say Marvel is so much better than DC. You might want to take another look. I think I nailed that one. I think I nailed it. Yeah, I nailed it.